Hello everyone, welcome to Helix Plays Games. My name is Richie and joining me this week is at CyberChris2077, Mr. Chris.
Hello everyone.
And our character neutral, Mr. Rob.
Hello. With an E.
We've got... What was that ending? Sorry. Right. Yeah, okay. Get the show back on track immediately. We've got a great show lined up for you this week. We'll be discussing our thoughts on the Developer Direct. A new N64 classic comes to GamePass, and Xbox are bringing out a cassette player. All that and much, much more on this week's XPass.
With an E.
Before we get into it, make sure if you haven't already, you like the video, subscribe to the channel or your podcast feed of choice with notifications switched on so you're kept in the loop with all of our great content here at Helix Plays Games, such as Talking the PS, where every single Tuesday we break down all the PlayStation news happening for you out there on YouTube and podcast services. Followed up on Tuesday evening at 8 PM GMT, we go live on our YouTube channel with the Clickercast, where we break down HBO's The Last of Us. That is also usually available on podcast feeds the next day. So if you missed the show and you prefer to take that show in audio only, you can. Otherwise, it'll be archived on YouTube. We also have our weekly live streams every single Thursday, where most recently, me and Chris played a game that we are going to be talking about a little bit later in the show. So I'm just going to leave that for now. Plant the seeds, although chances are you've already watched it. I hope you've watched it. We also do our Let's Plays and First Looks and stuff, where I played Hi-Fi Rush, another game we're going to be talking about in this very episode. But before getting into it, Chris, what have you been playing?
So I've been playing a lot of Xbox this past week, and I'll no doubt be playing a lot of Xbox this coming week because, of course, Age of Empires comes out on Tuesday to cloud and console as well, so that cannot wait for that. But yeah, for me it was predominantly GoldenEye, so we streamed it on Thursday, had an absolute blast diving into the nostalgia, had some laughs, and I came to the conclusion that I don't think I'd played the campaign through fully. So I was explaining on the stream, Rob, that I was one of those people that didn't have an N64 like you and Richie. Mm-hmm. So I only experienced GoldenEye by going around friends' houses, going to my cousin's house and playing there. Right? Yeah, but when you get there, immediately they stop playing the campaign. They don't want to just watch you play the campaign, so you default to multiplayer. So I think of all the hours and hours I put into this game, it was never actually sitting down and doing the campaign. And I've watched the movie tons of times as well, so I know exactly what happens. But yeah, just playing through it with Richie as well, alongside me, you realise like how much filler they put in to GoldenEye, where like they send Bond to places that happen in the movie, but he has no reason being there, and they're just like, I'll just make a mission out of it. So the Russian kind of satellite compound where Natalia and Boris work at the beginning, just send Bond there to get blue.
Literally like and 4 levels, like 2 outside and 2 inside of like that facility, and Bond doesn't even go there.
No, and it's it did make me laugh a little bit, but yeah, obviously up-res textures and stuff don't hold this game back. It's an absolute blast to run around in. The music's amazing, and if you play this, the nostalgia's real. I'm sure if you've never touched the game before, it's probably just an old mess that doesn't hold up. But for me, it's got that place in my heart where, since we finished the stream, I've just kept playing it through the weekend. I'm on the final one, Richie, so I've just done the jungle. I've just got rid of Xenia on a top. Got rid of her, and I think I'm on to the final part now. So
you've went through the caves, which exist for no reason.
Yeah, the caves, and then I've moved on to Hi-Fi Rush as well. But we'll talk about that probably more when we get to the segment in the news. But yeah, lots of Xbox stuff for me.
Yeah, Rob.
I've been the exact opposite. I've been almost exclusively PlayStation, I'm afraid. Apart from a little bit more of Warzone 2100, it's all been kind of Ghost of Tsushima finish off, and also God of War. So yeah, so very, very barren on the. I tend to like lump Xbox and PC into like one kind of category now. I don't know if everyone else does that in their heads, but I kind of have started doing it more.
I have been doing that because I've got a Steam library, it's pretty stacked, but it's also very old. But now I have Game Pass. I have PC Game Pass, which means now if I want to play PC games, it usually is in the Xbox PC ecosystem.
Yeah.
Which is, well, actually, I've been playing a bit of Age of Empires this week.
Hey, getting yourself
I was
ready?
wondering, I just had an urge the other night to just play some Age of Empires. You know when you kind of when you're kind of in between games, so you don't have that one big story narrative game that's like drawing all your attention, and you start bouncing around a lot of different stuff. I'm in that kind of mode, so I've been playing Age of Empires. I played some Warzone 2100, Rob.
Hey,
it's class, isn't it?
Yeah, I love that game. It was like that was an evening. Like, yeah, I probably won't go back to it, but like I had a good time that evening. I've been playing a bit of FIFA. I obviously did our first look of Hi-Fi Rush. I was playing GoldenEye at the same time as Chris. Unfortunately, not with Chris. We'll get into that a bit
didn't even
later.
help me.
I was giving you hints. I didn't want to spoil it.
There was a time when I think one of the levels ended and it went mission failed, and I was like, "What?" And Richie was going, "I did tell you not to do that," and I was like, "No, you like suggested it to the side, but like we said in tomorrow's
I give you a solid hint. Like,
I need clear instruction."
Yeah. But yeah, I've just been bouncing around. I have been playing a bit of The Last of Us. As we talked about in the Clickercast, I'm kind of playing The Last of Us after watching the show. I'll watch the show and go, oh, I want to play The Last of Us. Then I'll basically play that episode in the game.
Great way to go.
So, yeah.
I was going to do that with GoldenEye, but then I realised Bond was in loads of chapters he shouldn't be in, so it ruined the whole immersion for me.
You can probably play GoldenEye in the same time it takes to watch the show.
Yeah.
To watch the movie. So you could, like, put it on and go, right, level 1, damn, here we go. Who's going to finish off Alec Trevelyan first? Me or Pierce Brosnan?
Yeah. I'm curious to know, Richie, have you just dropped Plague Tale Requiem now because of the framey thing?
I got over it a bit, but then I don't know. I think because I played a lot of Plague Tale Innocence, I probably need to give it a bit of a breather before I go back. Again, I was enjoying it, but I was enjoying it. Oh, I'll jump in, I'll play for an evening, and then it wasn't hooking me the same way as Innocence is. So I think I'm just going to. Yeah, well, the technical issues, I think, were just that it is running at 30 frames per second rather than 60, and it was a bit jarring to go from one to the other. But I think I was starting to get over that.
Right.
Again, I do wish there was more of a quality slider so you could go to just 60 frames and have slightly worse graphical fidelity.
Do you think if they announced this week that there's like a patch coming out by the end of the month or something that would have it, that'd be like, oh, I'm back in then?
No, I don't think that's the deal breaker for me. I just think it just wasn't, because I just finished Innocence and got the Xbox equivalent of a platinum trophy on Innocence. I think I was just ready for something different. I am ready to just bounce around try a few different stuff before something takes hold.
What is that called? We need to, like, whoever's in the chat who's like an Xbox gamer through and through, like, what do we call the top achievement on Xbox? Is it just full gamer score? Is that like
just 100%, isn't it? Like, I don't know. We need should we coin something? Like, I don't know. We went full green.
Because like saying like it's such a part of my vocabulary just to say like I've platinumed it. I've got the platinum trophy, and then to just say I got all of the achievement points it just doesn't seem to have that like resonance I want it to have. Like I did something really good.
In some ways, I like there isn't a thing, because where sometimes with PlayStation you do feel that pull to I've got 75% of the achievement, the trophies. Should I just go for the platinum? And then you spend time fishing in a game. You spend like 10 hours fishing in the video game, going, this sucks.
Ooh, fishing and horses
game too.
Yeah, it's like, why am I doing this? I'm not enjoying this. I'm doing it purely for that trophy.
It's similar to television. It's like animals in games and television just shouldn't be a thing.
We're not having that trophy. Not having that platinum trophy, it means I can just, with Xbox, I can just kind of just
enjoy
it. I've got to where I wanted. I've got what I want out of this. I'll just move on.
Don't know why I said enjoy really sexually there, but
enjoy. Different type of game, that, Chris, if you're enjoying it. But we're not going to kink shame here. So, would you like to introduce us to the
excellently exuberant, excavated Xbox expose, aka the news?
The news. And as always, our news is brought to you by our Helix Heroes, where you can become a member for as little as 99p, getting early access to shows, custom emojis, badges in the chat, and priority questions on things like the ClickerCast. So thank everyone who writes in for that. First story of the week, we have a correction. So last week we talked about 343 and Halo maybe parting ways. That's not happening, apparently. We all got done.
I mean,
lied to.
I still feel like the base argument we had was a valid one, in my perspective. Like, nothing's changed. Like, I know kind of Richie, I'll let you into all the story before I start just jumping into it. Actually, that's probably for the best, isn't it?
So last week we reported that 343 was Microsoft were thinking about taking Halo off 343. There's because of there's lots of layoffs going on in Microsoft. I think it was like 10,000 people. It's all kind of intermixed with this, and Halo Infinite kind of didn't come out and put like in a way that people were hoping. It kind of, there was a bit of hype around it initially, but then there's things like it just didn't seem to fully fit the walk back on things like having the co-op campaign and stuff. The multiplayer doesn't seem as strong as I think Microsoft would like. So all the sort of arguments we were making last week seemed to kind of like back up these articles, and we were reading from like reputed sources as well. Like, it's not. So
yeah,
it was like,
it was just that thing, wasn't it? As soon as like kind of the video went up on Monday and podcast feeds, it's like Phil Spencer actively came out and said, no, the heart and soul of Halo is with 343 Studios. And it was like, oh, that kind of just underpins everything we spoke about for 20-30 minutes. And
so yeah, basically every video game journalist in the world was pushing stories saying Microsoft are taking Halo off 343. We had enough different like reputable sites reporting on it, that so we thought, okay, well, we can talk about this.
I mean, I think to Rob's point that he was saying is, I think everything we mentioned last week is still valid. I could still see 100%. Halo being handed over to id Software was our kind of perfect scenario, and 343 will just continue to support Infinite and online. Like,
yeah,
that,
I mean,
like it might be the heart and soul might be with 343, but that doesn't stop them shipping the franchise out to a better studio in all intents and purposes.
Yeah, I think our conversation largely just went, okay, Halo's coming, it's getting taken off 343. What will we do with Halo? That was kind of the focus of it. What I just had a thought while we were talking is, what do you think about, you know how we talk tomorrow about Far Cry? Kind of, there's going to be single player and potentially single player and multiplayer. Do you think that could work with Halo?
I mean, the way they released Halo Infinite, they dropped the multiplayer first, if I recall. Like they had a shadow drop on the multiplayer, and then the campaign came at launch. So they already kind of have broken it up. And you do have your die-hard Halo fans who are just in it for the multiplayer, and then you've got the kind of ones who hang on to the story. So I think in a way it's already primed to be that, and that kind of leans into the preference I have of just, let it do a campaign and let 343 look after the multiplayer, and then just like allow Infinite to be its Infinite games as a service, stick to that 10-year plan they promised, and then just add content from other studios, let them have a crack at it, and just see what's got. Again, Microsoft have so many studios in-house now, it's like just ship it around and you got to hit gold eventually, right?
Hopefully not games with gold.
Oh, no, that needs to go. Is that still a thing?
Yeah, still a thing. But yeah, I don't know. Go on, Rob.
From my perspective, like, obviously Phil Spencer came out and kind of like rebuked kind of like the rumour mill, I guess, if you want to call it that. But I don't particularly like the way he's like what he's actually said when you read his quote, because he's like, in his mind, like the exact quote is, "I thought it, being Halo Infinite, was fantastic. Obviously, we're talking about the following year, and I think there's some missteps we made as a team, absolutely. But I don't want to take away from the fact that the team did a really good job developing a great Halo game." Did they make a great? I don't think they did make a great Halo game. Really,
I haven't played it, but I think they made a serviceable Halo game.
Yeah, that's the thing, and like, I guess he has to support his kind of team in the studio and things like that, but at the same time, I don't want them to like be blind to the fact that Master Chief Collection didn't land particularly well, and then Infinite didn't land very well. There has to be some like kind of inward reflection that says,
well, I think
we haven't like
Chief
hit
Collection,
the mark twice now.
eventually got there. So it's like, yeah, again, as someone's not a big Halo thing, I think he's just kind of just going, like, putting out fires here, and it's corporate speak, really. That's how I'm taking it. I thought it was fantastic. Did a great job, like, kind of patting his team on the back. Yeah, we had a few issues. So it's like he's just showing his backing of the team. I wouldn't take the actual word too seriously. It's more of like the kind of 343 are sticking with Halo. We're going to make this work kind of thing. That's my reading between the lines.
Yeah, and especially after you've just laid off like a third of your workforce, like to come out and then shit on them again would be like, God, dude, like come on, Phil, like go easy on them, please. They've just lost. Unfortunately,
that's what it seemed last week. It's like, oh yeah, Microsoft are cutting down the workforce. Xbox is affected. Halo 343 especially affected, and they might be taking Halo off. And I was like, ooh, that's rough.
Yeah, it's like a triple hitter. But it is again back to what we say tomorrow about Far Cry. That just kind of it's a long running franchise. It's revered the world over in the games industry, and it just needs that's something different. That's something special. So
yeah.
Which I'm sure they've got plans up their sleeve.
Yeah, I do like the idea of like Halo multiplayer is just going to be that staple thing that all Xbox players have. 343 is going to look after that, so they're going to can polish that, continue polish it, keep developing, add new maps, add new game modes, all the kind of sort of stuff you'd expect from it. And then another team entirely works on like a single player campaign sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
With 343's input. But that way,
I think they'd be intrinsically tied.
Because now I think multiplayer experiences like Halo are so big they're effectively a game into themselves anyway. So it's basically 343. One of the problems might have been that 343 are trying to develop effectively two games that are one game at the same time. Where if you split the work between, okay, say id Software, you're going to make the single player campaign. It needs to have co-op campaign. No, there's people, we cannot not have it after we took a backlash. 343, you're going to keep on top of all like the story beats and stuff. You're still going to have like that kind of control. You're going to work with it on that, but your main focus is going to keep the multiplayer going. And I think there's something that could be done there. Something really cool. But moving on, we got a presentation. We got to know a bit about some games. So we got, I think we've got 5 games in this presentation, the developer _direct.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to just like first, before we go into the individual games, take a moment to just talk about our thoughts on the presentation generally. Have you both watched it?
Yep, I watched it. No, I didn't watch it live. I know we were discussing do we cover it on the channel and stuff, but we didn't know what to expect from a developer direct. I think in hindsight, it's probably the best thing not to cover it because it was very much a lot of like short interviews, snippets of gameplay, and I think it would be better for us to condense our thoughts into a weekly Xbox podcast rather than watch it live. I think the Xbox Showcase in the summer, that's a different kettle of fish, but when it comes to this, I thought it was a good presentation, nice and short, got to the point, nice couple of surprises sprinkled in. And more importantly, they did what they said they were going to do, which was date a few things and showcase the actual gameplay rather than just fancy CGI trailers. And I appreciate it.
Yeah, if you were to give it like a grade, what would you drop it?
Grade? Probably a B+. Something like that. I think if it had like maybe one or two big surprise announcements, it might bumped it up a bit. But for the first time outing... but I think it's just a bigger thing. But this was where I had no real expectations going into it, other than learning more about the game. I think they set the tone very, very well. So I think B+ for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same for the presentation. I kind of liked it. It was a bit smaller. It wasn't like here's a 2-3 hour massive thing that's got a million games where literally half of them you're going to forget about.
No adverts. No Jeff Keighley adverts.
It was focused. They said this is what it's going to be, and I think they delivered on what they said it's going to be. And honestly, I think doing maybe 3 or 4 of these throughout the year rather than a single big 2-hour presentation might be smarter. And go, hey guys, this is like what's going to happen in the next quarter. Here's your deep dive into them. Mm-hmm. Then you just do that once a quarter, so you keep these things rolling. So you keep bringing up the newer games. And something like your E3, that's when you can do maybe a bigger stage presentation. Here's what to look forward to in the next like 12 months sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'd say B plus, A minus, kind of. Yeah.
I think the key thing is they didn't oversell it, which was the big risk, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, they could have done that after like getting all the shit they got from the no-show at the Game Awards. This could have been like we do have something, it's coming January, and if they'd accidentally hyped this up or like referred to it as the reason we weren't at the Game Awards, it could have been like, well, all you're doing is telling us about games we already knew about. And I think they kept that. D, right? Yeah, like they kept that, like the level of information they put out and what this was about and what wasn't here. So remember, like they got ahead of the curve and said Starfield will not be at this event. It has its own event. If like that had just gone into this rumor, no one really knew, that would have like dropped the grade so much down if everyone was expecting Starfield.
Yeah, they're the key things. Like, we've got a showcase coming this summer. Starfield will have its own event, so not to expect them things. Not even as like a kind of surprise for moments. Like, no, we know they're not going to be there because they're going to be over here instead. So you're just like, okay, that's completely off the table. So you're not judging it in the context.
Yeah.
If they hadn't said Starfield was having its own thing, I think we'd be sat here going, where was Starfield? Starfield should have been here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the games. Forza Motorsport. Thoughts?
I think it looks
fantastic,
gorgeous,
but not for us. I don't think as a group.
It's like Gran Turismo, right? Like gorgeous, appreciate it. Does the absolute best in class it can do with cars and motorsport, but it's not for me.
Yeah. It didn't get a date, did it? I don't think
that. Yeah, that's the one underlining problem. I think everything else here got a date except for this, and I think everyone was expecting it maybe prior to June. So this might be one that I think is at risk of being pushed back beyond that 12-month cycle they promised us last summer.
Arguably, that's like the strongest game on the list in terms of like kind of existing audience, should we say?
Yeah, like, they have a good idea what Forza Motorsport's going to do. I think this not getting a date is the reason why I think it's a B plus, the showcase, the developer direct, rather than an A. It feels like that's sort of very focused. We're focusing on 4 or 5 games. You want to date everything on it, and you want it being like these should be round the corner. Like when you're doing a bit more of a deep dive, you're giving the developers a bit more time to showcase their thing. If something's going to be like 6-9 months time, it feels like it shouldn't be at this thing. So I am hoping like this is still Q1.
Yeah. Well, it had spring 2023 the release window. Like,
so that'd be
last
Q2
year.
then. Yeah.
But then again, there's reports coming out. Giant Bomb's Jeff Grubb saying that he's hearing loads of things saying it's going to be pushed back to Q3. It won't probably hit first half of the year. But then looking at the rest of the presentation, I don't think Microsoft need it. Like Forza Horizon is still quite fresh, and although it's a different style of game, I think the Forza fans are like quite satiated at this point. And I think we discussed it on other earlier shows that like racing games, they kind of just exist in this evergreen world where, because Forza's not tied to the Formula 1 season or the GP season, it can just come out pretty much whenever, as long as it's not stepping on any other IP's tours when it releases. Like, it's not going to launch alongside Starfield, because that would just be foolish. But I think it can drop in anyway.
Because they're so different. They serve a different audience. If you're into Forza, you're going to get Forza. Well,
but then you've got the
anyway, so who cares?
But then you've got the Game Pass problem, haven't you? Where because you're not putting your £70 down for one, you might just go, well, I'll just leave Forza until I've had a look at Starfield, the big hype machine that's getting built up as Game of the Year potentially. So like, Game Pass is like I think traditionally, if you're only buying one, it wouldn't impact it. But I think because you get both of them for free, there's that Game Pass overlap where you can put something down because you haven't bought it anyway, so you don't feel like you're wasting money by leaving it on the table. But that's a conversation for another day. But I don't think Forza impacted. If it gets delayed, I don't think it'll really change anyone's impressions of it.
Can we just say how incredibly pretty it looks? It's like,
it's insane. Yeah,
this might be the best looking video game, like in terms of photorealism, I've ever seen. It looks there's a trailer up now. If you didn't know this was Forza, if you just clicked on to this and this is what you saw, you might actually think this was real. Actual real footage. It is that good.
I remember
we
my
know
granddad thinking FIFA was real when I was playing it with my brother, like a good few years ago now. But just coming in and watching, it's like, oh, who's playing? And it was like us. We're
I
playing.
didn't know there was a match on.
Yeah, what the hell? And yeah, you're right. The things in this with like ray tracing and some of the shots they show of like the camera panning over the reflections of the environment and stuff in the rear of the car is just like, oh, chef's kiss, like beautiful.
Yeah, they talked a lot about the kind of sort of like stuff that they're putting it into in terms of the deep dive into the technology of the game, to how to make sure the races feel all distinct and stuff, the way like the track heats up your tyres and stuff. Like they're going into really granular detail. The sort of stuff that you won't get in Forza Horizon, like, because with it being more arcadey, but you would get in here. So I think if you are a racing game fan, a simulating racing game fan, this looks absolutely incredible. I'm pretty sure we will do a stream on it.
Oh, yeah.
And you can laugh at how bad we are.
Yeah, we stuck something awful at racing sims.
Oh, God, yeah. But that's what makes it funny, though. Like, we just lean into that.
Find that Apex.
Elder Scrolls Online, new chapter of Elder Scrolls Online is coming out called Necrom. Have either of you played much of ESO? Any interest in this?
Yeah, I played a bit of it.
Wheelhouse.
And it's okay. It's good as for what it is. But obviously it's getting on now in terms of age, and it didn't hold me as like an MMO, which, to be fair, not a lot of them do. But kind of, I guess for the established audience, it's pretty good, but I kind of have no strong thoughts on it, really.
Yeah. So what are we expecting in this Necrom update? Like, so this is like the 21st chapter in an ongoing, persistent world. So what's Necrom bringing new?
It's your classic expansion of a MMO where it's going to give you a new area to explore, new quests in there, stories. It unlock the new class, become empowered by the secrets of Apocrypha and forbidden knowledge of Hermaeus Mora. Sorry for absolutely butchering them. The Arcanist is a powerful new class capable of destruction, restorative, or defensive magic by channeling the arcane, ancient runes, and lost tomes. So you're getting a new class to play as. You're getting a new area, which I think is on like the east coast of Morrowind, a place that they haven't actually explored before. New stories are coming into it. So it's a kind of your classic MMO expansion sort of stuff.
I think the biggest announcement that came from it all was the fact that they said all previous chapters in the base game are going to be included with GamePass. So essentially, if you've never jumped in before because maybe this is so far beyond you now because of all the chapters, they're just like, take everything.
Is that definitely confirmed for Game Pass? Because I haven't been able to verify that. I know you get the unlocks of all the previous chapters if you buy Necrom, and the base version of ESO is on Game Pass.
Oh, good point.
But let us know in the chat if that is what you're saying, because I did look for that and I couldn't
all I remember, I think,
clarity.
is when they kind of wrapped everything up. I remember them just showing all the chapters and then the Game Pass logo, and just thinking, oh, everything's included. Because I've seen people referring to this as just like the divorce plan or the retirement plan, because there's just so much content. If you start playing this game at this point with all the past chapters, you need like infinite time to play them. So you might as well just retire, quit your job, and just commit to ESO.
I mean, what ESO have done interestingly is where other MMOs like, say, World of Warcraft, which is the one I spent by far the most time in, when a new expansion comes, it usually comes with like a new level cap. So you take your high level character, you can go to this new area, explore the area while leveling up, and then you get into the end game content for the new area. ESO seems to just go, here's new area, and you can kind of play them in any order. So you could
makes it more accessible, right? Because I never got to explore any of the expanded areas in Warcraft because I didn't hit the level cap, which was, I just didn't have a time to like dump into the game. So I do prefer that way of it.
I know we did a stream back in the channel back in the Stadia days, long ago. Tom dressed as an elf, and we were based in Morrowind. But you can just start the game pretty much in any area, so you can experience them all out of order if you wish. So, which I kind of thought was a pretty cool thing. So you can just decide where you want to go. And with Necrom, basically, if you buy Necrom, you get everything, this is probably the best time to jump in, and it probably is a bit more manageable for new players as well, because it is more of a choice.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I don't think this is one we'll be streaming anytime soon, because I don't think any of us have any like strong inclination to jump back into this. I'm right in saying that, aren't I?
Yeah, not
I have like zero kind of. The level of commitment is so high, and my interest is quite low. If I want some kind of like Elder Scrolls, I'll just jump back into Skyrim, which again is on Game Pass.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. It's MMOs in general. It's more of like I probably would enjoy it if I played. I just don't want that commitment to a single game. Where I think to go back to something like ESO, the game itself becomes a hobby rather than gaming being the hobby.
Yeah.
But let's move on to something that I know at least two of us have played. Hi-Fi Rush. So this was a surprise at the Developer _ Direct, and we have a first look on the channel. So Chris, going to throw this to you because I know you've been playing it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I know you did a first look, but again, the great thing with Game Pass is game gets stealth announced, stealth launch really. I know there were some leaks ahead of the showcase, but still. Yeah. And why not check it out? So I checked it out on my phone with a Razer Kishi using the cloud. Just jumped onto that, no install required. This game is fantastic. Like, it's such a nice, fun game. Like, the music is amazing. I know in your first look, Richie, you did it with the streamer settings on, so it doesn't use the proper licensed music. It's just original soundtrack for the game, which is, again, great feature to have because loads of people who stream it, you don't want a copyright strike. I think the first song is like, is it 9 inch nails? Is it 10 inch nails? 9 inch nails?
9 inch nails.
9 inch nails. I knew it was something inch nails. It's actually right in front of me on the screen. I should just read it. That's when the band breaks up and they get back together. They come back as the 10 inch nails. But yeah, Hi-Fi Rush. It's from, weirdly enough, it's from Tango Gameworks, who did Ghostwire Tokyo, which is a PlayStation exclusive currently, but it will be freed from the shackles of that exclusivity probably back end of this year, and we'll get it on Game Pass probably October, November time. Which is crazy to think they've made Ghostwire Tokyo and Evil Within, and then they come out with this little indie game where it's all cartoon aesthetic. You play as a young boy named Chai. He's gone into very cyberpunk inspired, where there seems to be a factory that basically gives people robotics. Like for that, the guy in particular has his arm replaced with a robot arm, and there's something goes wrong in the factory, and the game kind of opens up into this kind of like little mini world to explore.
He accidentally gets an iPod stuck onto his chest, and that kind of gives him these like rhythm powers because it is a rhythm action game.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about you, but I was playing through the cloud on our first look as well, and I couldn't tell whether my rhythm was just terrible, but I seem to be consistently out on the beat. So I'm wondering. So I was starting to question whether is this just a bit of latency. And it's like, I think I was eventually adapting to it, but I felt like I was pressing before the beat.
Yeah, so I had a similar thing when, especially in some of the tutorial things, when it was asking you to like test out combos. It's similar to Guitar Hero, it brings up a board of button prompts to hit in line with the beat. And I was pressing them, and it was like a good, like you said, a few fractions off. When you're thinking,
slightly late every single time. It's like.
But I'll check it out on console as well, because the game isn't that big, actually. It's only a smaller title. But in terms of like the rhythm and the beat, I love it. Everything in the world's interacting, all the billboards and the signs, they're all they're all moving along with the beat. And I think the comedy, the cutscenes, the art style is very anime inspired. And yeah, for this to just shadow drop during the showcase, and like it's out now. If you've got Game Pass, go give this game
it's very comic booky with like the onomatopoeia stuff coming up and popping up on screen and stuff, which I don't think I really talked about that element of it in the first look, but
yeah, it's it has like almost like a Spider-Verse vibe to it as well, like animation style. And like again, love the characters, the little cat you meet in it called 808, Bob. You meet, and just the music's so good. Again, whether you play it with the official music or the licensed music, it's just so refreshing to play. I played it up until the first boss fight. I got that far anyway. I don't know if you got that far in your first look, Richie.
No, I didn't. I played for a little under an hour.
Yeah, so I think it's not too far beyond that, but yeah, certainly check this one out if you've got Game Pass, because it's
a really cool game.
And I'm so happy to see these studios able to create things. If you think, we got Pentiment at the back end of last year, and then we've got this from Tango Gameworks, which is it's great to see. It's great to see. So long may it continue. These little stealth drops of games, and it just shows you don't need a massive marketing campaign to build up hype, because this is straight in there with.
You need a good game, right?
You just need a good game, and because it's Game Pass, it's easily accessible. So people jump in and play and go, "This is actually really, really cool." Like
trending this whole weekend was Hi-Fi Rush, Game Pass, and GoldenEye. What a world we live in.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about GoldenEye a bit more a bit later, because next we need to talk about Minecraft Legends. So we started to get a bit more information about Minecraft Legends come through, including a release date, which is going to be April the 18th.
Not that far.
Evie is interested in Minecraft Legends?
I wasn't that much until this showcase, and it basically sold me as Minecraft meets Age of Empires. It's like, you tell me I get together with my friends and we send one out to gather resources, like chop that wood, get that stone, go gather those gold things or the berries, and the rest of us basically build the defenses of our castle and our keep, and then we get attacked by the AI or another team in this kind of it's Age of Empires 3D world. And I think the devs near the end of it, they actually explain it, like the theory behind it and what it is, and it's basically an introduction to RTSs for an entire audience that haven't ever played them. Because so you've got millions and millions of kids who play Minecraft, and people who just enjoy Minecraft for what it is, crafting, building, blah blah blah, and then now they get to build a base and defend it and fight other people, other groups in an online world. And there's just something about it which, when they saw the trebuchets come in and destroy stuff, and the little armies, I think they're called piglings, coming in, it just started to build and go, you know what, if I could play Age of Empires but actually drop into the world as a third person. And I like Minecraft. I put many hours in. I built Minas Tirith from Lord of the Rings in Minecraft back in the day on my PS3. That's how much time me and my brother committed to just digging in holes for copious amounts of stone. So yeah, this does something for me. I think on a live stream, we jump in, fortify something, and just kill some piglings. I'm down for it.
Yeah. I can see a stream where me, you, and Rob, we build a base and we get the community come try and take us down.
I'd like to see them try.
I think this game.
They will try and do it very easily, I imagine.
yeah, 100%. Because I've never really played that much Minecraft.
I don't think that matters for this game. To be fair, it
does feel very distinctly streamable.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I think we definitely will play. It's probably the one I'm looking forward to maybe the least, apart from Forza, to be honest. Minecraft has just never really drawn my attention that much. But something like this, I think can be probably a bit more fun. Again, streaming as well. So
yeah, I think for me, I immediately, when Minecraft kicked off that kind of trend of kind of craftable, or whatever you want to call it, I immediately skipped to the other titles that kind of spawned up around it. So kind of
your Roblox guy, Rob.
You did the hipster thing. I'm not playing Minecraft. That's too popular. I'm going to play something that's like Minecraft, but not.
Well, no, but kind of stuff like 7 Days to Die and things like that. I kind of gravitate towards those games more than I did Minecraft, just because I probably unfairly judged it as a bit too kind of kiddie, which again it really isn't in some regards. But no, I love the format of the games, and I am more excited as Chris you are after I saw kind of a bit more from it and things like that. So yeah, I think a live stream in the future is a good shout.
100%. We have one more game to talk about from the developer _direct, and that is Redfall. So we're starting to get a bit more information drop out. Redfall, it feels like it's been this slow drip feed of information.
Mm-hmm. I think for the first time I actually kind of understand what the game's trying to be, which I can't really say I did before. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, Redfall was always at risk, wasn't it? Of just, it'd been so long, they've kind of been talking about it for so long that it was starting to get a bit long in the tooth, pun intended, for vampires there. And yeah, this kind of conference really just set the scene for what you as a gamer and as a squad and a team will be doing in this game. Mm-hmm. For me, definitely made me just think, especially after the other week when we played Back 4 Blood, it just looks like that and Left 4 Dead, but with vampires. And after playing Back 4 Blood the other week, I'm down for that. Like, the game looks fun. I like the thought of just taking zones and doing little side missions, take over a lighthouse over here, take down a vampire god over here as a team with just collective abilities in this smaller size map of the town of Redfall. I think there's fun to be had there. I don't know if it's going to have any longevity or I'm going to give a shit about the story, but in terms of just gameplay with friends and other people, I think it's got a lot of potential.
I think going into the developer direct, Redfall was kind of looked at as what happens if Arcane does Back 4 Blood with vampires. However, I think there's a bit more to it. They're trying to distance themselves from that sort of comparison. And I'm starting to see why there's a bit more to the game than that. There's more like RPG element into it. There seems to be a bit more of a class system. There's like boss fights and stuff. There's more game mode. There's a bit more game than just Left 4 Dead, Back 4 Blood, World War Z, but done by a different studio. Mm-hmm. And I think that is to its credit. But it is starting to make me a bit more interested. I think this could be a really, really cool game. Again, if you got a bunch of like 3-4 friends who you play with regularly, jumping in, just like tackle through all the different scenarios, I think there's something pretty cool here.
Yeah.
And a release date as well.
Yes, we have a release date. I keep forgetting to tell the release
2nd of May.
2nd of May.
Yeah.
ESO was the 20th of June, because I didn't actually mention that.
Yeah, with this one, my only still outstanding worry, I think the game will be fun. I don't think, just looking at it, it's going to be winning any Game of the Year awards, just by the nature of like the type of game it is.
I don't think it's going to be Game of the Year, but it might be in one of the other categories, like the multiplayer Game of the Year or something.
Absolutely.
It potentially could be an action Game of the Year. Like,
yeah.
There's lots of
Jedi Fallen Survivor,
yeah.
But in terms of the game, my only worry is that it's too quiet. Like, if they nail the horror element, and when we're walking around the town as a squad, we're on edge all the time. Of, is there a vampire nearby or a monster nearby? Do we have to be cautious as we like enter this building? And a lot of the stuff seems like it happens at night.
You want that shit panic moments, like where everything's quiet, walking around, got to be quiet. Oh shit! No!
And
it's coming.
Obviously, the risk in like Back 4 Blood and Left 4 Dead is that you've got the kind of zombies, and they're usually there in their droves. Whereas vampires, traditionally, there's not hordes and hordes of them. So my worry is, are we going to be exploring around Redfall, thinking there's nothing really going on in big areas of this town, and then we might come across like one or two, which they seem to show in the fights, but you never really seem to be overwhelmed. So I don't know if there's going to be like little monster creatures or something like they send out to make the world feel like, keep us on edge all the time. Because the stuff in the small corridors with the torch looks super scary, and you turn around and it's in there in the doorway. I get that, but when there's three of us, walking around this big open world map of Redfall, you know what I mean? It kind of feel like zombies lend themselves to it really well, because there's shit tons of them. Whereas with vampires, by nature, they are more stealthy and creep up on you and appear right up in your face, Dracula style. I want there to be tension, and so like the payoff of when you finally kill them, there's that relief of, oh my word, like we're free, we're good to move on now. So, but yes, the conference did a lot to kind of reinforce that. It looks fun, and I'm looking forward to playing it.
Again, I mean, it's coming to Game Pass, so we'll definitely be playing it. Oh, I love Game Pass. It's so good, isn't it?
It's so good, isn't it? God damn, like, every single thing we talked about here is like, we'll check it out because it's on Game Pass, and it.
Yeah, Forza, not really up our street. We're definitely going to do a stream because it's on Game Pass, so why wouldn't we? ESO, okay, we have actually got content on ESO, so we're probably not going to cover that one. Hi-Fi Rush, first look already on the channel. Minecraft Legends, why not? Let's go for it. It feels very streamable, so we'll do it. Redfall, absolutely going to be streaming that game at some point.
And just from a budgetary standpoint, right? Just like, I wouldn't have bought Hi-Fi Rush this weekend if it came out. Even if it was like, it's only 25 quid. I wouldn't have bought it. I'd have looked at it and went, it looks like a fun musical game, but I would not have played it.
The fact it's a rhythm game probably would have just put me off a bit, to be honest.
GoldenEye, depending on the price, I might have looked at it and went, I'm not paying 15 quid for an old ass game, but the fact it's just there, it's great.
Let's talk about GoldenEye, actually.
Dun 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 dun.
Oh, GoldenEye's so good. Like, the movie and the game was like, we have, like, I mean, you did a stream of it. I was playing GoldenEye on my own at the same time as being on on camera. It's such a good game.
And weirdly enough, didn't get copyright strike on the video, considering it plays like the theme repeatedly in various forms. I think there's actually a point near the end of the game, Richie, when you're starting a lift with Natalia, and it's playing the same theme, but on a xylophone as the lift music. Oh. And it's just it's the same thing.
If you listen to like the theme songs for that game are amazing, but if you listen to them, they're all basically just remade versions of the same theme. It's so good though. Like,
it is. And yeah, I've had an absolute blast playing through it this weekend.
Yeah. So, obviously, the game looks horrible because it's the Nintendo 64 game. It's early 3D games. It's photo. I made a joke during the stream that it's photorealistic because it's literally a photo stretched over like 4 polygons.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not good. It's like, if you've never played GoldenEye and you want to know what the hype's about, you're probably not going to understand by playing this game because it also doesn't play the great. It does have that kind of weird floatiness to the controls. They have by default made it 2 sticks now, so it does feel slightly more modern.
Yeah, when I was trying to explain to my wife how like the reason it's a great shooter, but how you had to used to hold in the button and aim the trigger around manually. It's like I don't think my brain
shoot the locks off.
Yeah, I don't think my brain could contemplate. I actually panicked in the part. You know, when you have to escape the train and you have to use the laser watch to free the weld panel on the floor.
So hard.
Trying to aim was just I couldn't do it, and I ran out of battery on my watch, and it was just I had to get the gun out and shoot the things off. But my word,
it's when you're trying to use like L to aim. It kind of has that thing where it's like it feels really floaty, but also feels like it just wants to spring back away. So you always feel like you're fighting against it, and it's like you're trying to use an analog stick. It's like, why is this moving back? I just hold still.
Yeah, but 8-year-old Chris could do it. Like laser pinpoint accuracy with a crazy Nintendo 64 claw controller, no problem. With like my little child hands trying to hold it in various ways. But yeah, modern sensibilities, it's infinitely harder. So yeah, you got to laugh at it.
There is one negative thing we need to bring up on GoldenEye, apart from like terrible graphics and stuff. But again, that's just it's an old game. Like you can't go jump in the GoldenEye and go, them trees look terrible, and copy and paste is like, well, yeah, they are. It's not a modern game. It's the multiplayer. Old.
Yeah. For Nintendo, James.
Yeah.
It's limited.
No, for me.
It has the full GoldenEye multiplayer experience, but it's couch only. It doesn't have online multiplayer on the Xbox version, which is a real shame.
Yeah, and this might
just
go
swipes
back.
The legs out, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think a lot of this does probably go back to what I mentioned at the beginning of the show around just the licensing and stuff for this, because again, this game was originally on a Nintendo console, so we don't know whether the online element was Nintendo got first dibs on it. They legally are allowed to keep it to themselves. Like, we presume this is on Xbox purely because Xbox own Rare. Like, and they have some kind of like shoe in like the door for owning this IP because they made the game, but technically it's Nintendo's. But then, as I said, there's Eon Productions who make the movies, and you've got the Broccoli family who own the rights to the Ian Fleming novels, and then you've got, of course, Pierce Brosnan's likeness in this game. And I think there's just so many back and forths. The way the game's, of course, emulated and updated for Xbox, there's probably something in the coding that they just couldn't get to work on the online infrastructure that is Xbox. Whereas I've seen some articles that say when Nintendo do online, their online is basically emulating it. So someone will host the game. So say Rob was the main host of GoldenEye. You and me would just join into his host game. Whereas that's not how Xbox works, because it does matchmaking and it tries to do it a little bit differently. So there's probably a technical element and a legal element behind it. But the version on Switch does run a lot worse as well, because it's the OG game. It's not like up-resed or anything like that. So I'm quite content playing the Xbox campaign, and
it's
I
a
might have you
shame
around
because
for some couch co-op.
GoldenEye, as much as it's beloved for its campaign, it was the multiplayer is what really, like, people. I think most people are kind of like craving to jump in with their friends and stuff. So on Xbox, it just cut the legs from under it. So now you can only play on the couch next to each other. It's not a bad way to play it.
I mean, that's the only way you could play it.
But with the Switch, you have the problem. Well, yeah, you can play online multiplayer, but Switch's online system is terrible.
Yeah.
It's like, so it's like, ugh. It is a slight. This is a 9 out of 10 game for me because of that. You can either have bad online experience or no online experience. It's like, otherwise it would have been a perfect release.
Yeah.
But let's move on to Disney Dreamlight Valley. So Disney Dreamlight Valley getting multiplayer and Encanto coming in February. Chris?
Yeah, I like how you always refer it over to me because it's.
I know you've played it.
Yeah. Anything Disney.
Yeah, I mean the game's still in early access, free on GamePass still, so enjoy it. But they just keep adding more content, more and more content. So when I think this game finally does launch live, it's going to have plenty there for people who maybe haven't checked it out yet. So still in beta access. Encanto, fantastic movie, even better soundtrack. If you've got any kids out there,
heard of it.
The songs were all over the place. Like not last summer, the summer before. When it launched, it just went absolute viral. And yeah. Yeah, very much. Right. I don't know if Rob has any inkling. It might just be the social circles and what you follow and stuff. But yeah, Encanto was huge. We don't talk about Bruno Ricci. If that means anything to you.
No, I don't think I've even heard of Encanto before. Like
Wow.
Like Disney stuff just doesn't do anything for me.
A lot of our audience are parents, and as a soon-to-be parent, I can. Everyone at home now who's watching or listening to this is like, how has he not heard of Encanto?
Because I'm not a parent, and
neither am I.
I don't follow. I don't follow Disney stuff. Like it just like I've watched and loved some of the classic Disney stuff, like Lion King back in the day, the original, not the stupid
Simba,
not the stupid like realistic remake.
The realistic remake also fantastic. So
but it's just pointless.
It's not.
It is.
How?
Because you have something fun.
This is an
phenomenal.
angle that could definitely go on.
Right? Is it better than the original?
No.
Then it's pointless because we have the original and it's one of the best films ever made. So.
But no, I'm not going to go down. I'm not going to open this kind of worms on this thing because it's got its own merits and stuff. But either way, Encanto is a great movie, fantastic soundtrack, and if you're a Disney fan, it's great to have it in the game. And I can see why they've chose this over more beloved older Disney movies because again, the relevance of it being current and kids and families will eat all this up. And
you don't want to throw all your best stuff at it in one go. You want to space some stuff out. You need enough of the classic stuff in there to get it off the ground, but you want to have people going, oh, but what about this? What about this? Like, you want.
But again, it's going to be like a perpetual world, and they've already added like Toy Story and stuff in, and some of the classics. So, it'd be interesting to see what happens beyond early access because there's a few not microtransaction things, but grindy things for resources that have started to slow the game down for me and my wife. Where it's just like it's our interest is waning on it because of how much grind you need to do to get like X amount of this resource or X amount of that, and it's taking away from the enjoyment a little bit. So I'm hoping that's just while it's in beta that they're balancing the gameplay a little bit with the resource mechanics. But
I think they did talk about that before. I think we covered it at some point on XPass.
They will have done.
But yeah. I think we have time for one or two more stories. So where do you want to go? There's a couple of things we can go. We can talk about games coming up on GamePass. Justin Roiland being a bit of a dick.
I think probably the Justin Roiland one's.
Should we go to Justin Roiland?
The biggest final one.
So Justin Roiland has resigned from Squanch Games, and the reason I say I'm being a bit facetious when I say he's being a bit of a dick. He's currently facing 2 felony domestic abuse charges dating from 2020, which has led to him leaving Squanch Games.
And also,
let's replace a bit of a dick with massive piece of shit. Let's just
straight up.
Yeah.
If these are happened,
I was going to say it is sent until proven guilty still, but it does seem like it's leaning more towards he's a dick. Yeah,
we don't really have the details of what the charges are apart from just domestic abuse. He's pled not guilty to them. I think it's important to mention that, and he hasn't been found guilty of them at the time of recording. But yeah, he's left Squanch Games, and Squanch Games put out a tweet saying, on January 16th, 2023, Squanch Games received Justin Roiland's resignation. The passionate team at Squanch will keep developing games we know our fans will love while continue to support and improve High on Life.
It's kind of just an unfortunate shit show for
It's unfortunate for the rest of the guys at Squanch Games, because if he has actually done these things that he's accused of doing, then it's absolutely not unfortunate for him. That guy can fuck off.
Yeah,
like, we don't.
There's no real coming back. Even if the whole trial ends up being he's found not guilty, there is still the reality of he's resigned already. So would he want to go back? Is there that weird awkwardness? And I think the biggest thing for me is he's so pivotal to Squanch Games' kind of identity and Rick and Morty's identity, because he voices nearly everything and anything in the game and the show. So taking him out, I get where they say we'll continue making games, like a High on Life sequel, potentially, no doubt, because it did so well before Christmas. And then Rick and Morty will continue another season. But I think if you take the voices of those out, I don't know if anyone's watched The Simpsons recently, but the new voice actors they're replaced with the originals, it's just not the same. And I do sometimes. Yeah, the latest, like Marge, I think Marge got replaced because I think something to do with the throat. I can't remember. The voice of the original actor.
She couldn't do it anymore.
Couldn't do it anymore, yeah. It put a strain on her vocal cords, and obviously there was recasting for obvious other reasons, and it just doesn't, the show just doesn't feel the same. And I think because he's so intrinsic to Rick and Morty and every single gun in High on Life nearly, and character and NPC you meet, I do worry that it takes a lot of the wind out of the sails. And best of luck to Squanch Games, of course, but you take your creative lead and your creative voice out of something, and obviously, deservedly so, and rightly so, but it just sucked that Squanch Games have just had their biggest launch ever with High on Life, the most success and praise, and the kind of the keystone of the whole thing is now a dick, and he won't be around for the next one.
Who owns Squanch Games? Because it was founded by Roiland, but does he still own it?
Isn't it him and somebody? There's like
Tanya Watson and Justin Roiland were the.
I know Bill Lawrence does Rick and Morty, I think, with him. The guy who did Scrubs and that. But I don't think he does anything to do with the game side of things.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, it's a situation like, well, they're basically going to have to kind of redefine what they are as a studio without Roiland. As you mentioned, he is so integral to not just running the studio, to what the content. He is integral to the content that the studio produces.
Like the creative direction is a lot of him, right?
Yeah. It's his humor, it's his vision, it's his acting. It's
like we praise High on Life, right, Richie, because we enjoyed the Rick and Morty humor of it because of the obvious back and forth and the observation comedy and stuff like that. And if someone else just tries to come in and replicate that, it's just not. I don't feel like they're going to have that natural ability to deliver the lines and such in the way they do in the game and the show. But I mean, it could be a great thing for Squanch Games because now they get to kind of pivot maybe away to something that isn't the same humor over and over again. They could just do something unique unto themselves. And GamePass and the success of High on Life will hopefully have given them the foundation to do that. It's just unfortunate that everything's kind of pivotal on one person and him being an asshole or not.
Well, to be honest, going forward as a business, this might be a blessing in disguise, because when any business is so dependent on one person, that's probably a situation you need to get away from. You want his creative, he could be great, but you can't just run everything just off on the shoulders of one man. Mm-hmm. That, because at some point, if he doesn't come up with a good idea, then you're kind of screwed. So maybe while they're still fairly early in their life, they've just had this massive success. This might be the time to kind of bridge out, redefine what they are going to be as a studio in the long term after Roiland. Because, well, he's not there anymore.
They've got a good relationship
he's
with
probably going to go to jail.
Xbox now, right? So
yeah,
that can always help.
That's it. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see where the future for Squanch Games goes, and I hope everyone who's affected by this is doing well. But, I don't. Do you views have anything else we need to say?
No, just reiterate, innocent until proven guilty is the underlying thing, but it doesn't sound good for him. So
no, it's not. Last story of the week. I think we'll just talk about a few of the things coming up on Xbox's roadmap. So there's a few games that we still haven't heard that much about. Well, on the roadmap for 2023, Hi-Fi Rush, GoldenEye, got both of them. Both of them are awesome. Age of Empires 2 Console Edition, I think, is up next.
Yeah. Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah. Ghostwire Tokyo's coming. Minecraft Legends, Redfall, Forza. We've already talked about them. Few others. We've got like Ara History Untold, which to be honest, I don't know anything about that. Do either of you know about Ara?
No, I think we got a cinematic trailer at the showcase,
Yeah.
but that's about it.
I'm just completely blanking on what that game was at the moment.
That doesn't bode well for it.
Yeah, do you think, when I mentioned earlier in the show, like some of those big showcases, you see a lot of stuff and some of it just doesn't stick.
Yeah.
I wonder if Ara's one of them. And obviously Starfield and Age of Empires 4 confirmed this year. But there is some stuff that could come this year that hasn't been confirmed yet. Avowed, Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, Perfect Dark. That's a remake of the original, isn't it? Or is it like given the GoldenEye treatment?
Yeah, well, I think Perfect Dark's, it's not beholden to licensing legal agreements, so they are just making this, I think, from the ground up. Remember, they're being helped by Square Enix as well. Crystal Dynamics, I think. Is it Crystal or Eidos? One of the Square teams that was sold to Embracer are helping out with. I think it's the Tomb Raider team are helping out with Perfect Dark.
Yeah,
but it'll be a while off.
There's other things coming as well, like Fable, Project Mara, The Outer Worlds 2, Everwild, State of Decay 3, Indiana Jones, Gears. So there is stuff that could come this year. Is any of these kind of you're hoping for? Like,
I think Avowed we could see, depending on if Starfield gets pushed back, which is seemingly more likely to the back end of 2023.
Yeah,
I think they could squeeze Avowed in there. But I think Senua, Perfect Dark's a long way off. State of Decay 3 probably so. Outer Worlds 2, I do think the way the turn the game's around over there, I think we could see that sooner rather than later. Fable's a long way out. I'm hearing rumours this week that it's been scrapped and started all over again. Indiana Jones, Machine Works haven't put out a game in quite a while, so that could be a surprise contender. But I think just looking ahead to these, I think you're talking 2024 for the majority.
I think most of them. Maybe Age of Mythology Retold might scrape in this year.
Yeah,
that's one where I don't think the time of the year matters when it launches.
No. I think aside from maybe a couple of like nice little indie style stealth drops, and let's remember this doesn't stop Xbox making second party agreements with like other studios like PlayStation do all the time.
Yeah.
So we could get a showcase in the summer that'll blow us out the water with a couple of titles they've been working on secretly. And there's a lot of time between then and now to have some leaks as well. So
and this is just the stuff we know about.
Yeah. I mean, they could have the Call of Duty purchase gone through by then, and they might have all bells and whistles on for the next COD entry by the end of autumn.
I mean, Call of Duty, the next game is coming will be all platform. I mean, Microsoft keep reiterating that they're not taking Call of Duty off PlayStation, so I don't think whether they own it or not.
No, I
just
meant GamePass specific, like you'll get it without worrying about paying for it or not.
I'm not sure. I still kind of think that you won't get Call of Duty on Game Pass. I think that is probably the consolidation, like the kind of compromise that Microsoft are going to have to make to get this through. That we won't put it on Game Pass because then it's just Microsoft own it, but then in terms of the gaming landscape, nothing changes really for PlayStation. But if it is on Game Pass, it's like, why would you get it on PlayStation? Why would you pay £70 on PlayStation or nothing on Xbox?
Yeah, true.
Assuming you have access to an Xbox, but Series S isn't that expensive.
Yeah. Back to the Ara game as well, Richie. It looks like Civilization, Humankind.
Oh, it's that one.
It's a 4X style game.
Anyway, I think that's all we have time for this week. If you like the video, hit that like button and consider becoming a member for as little as 99p. And make sure you sub to the channel or your podcast feed of choice with notifications switched on. We have a Discord server if you want to join in and talk to some awesome people. The link is below. Everything's on. All the links you need for all of our socials are in the description below. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Richie.
I've been Chris.
And I've been Rob.
We've been Helix Plays Games. This has been XPass. Game on.